Time is 2 o'clock.
Good afternoon and welcome to the last edition of The World Today for the week. It is a Southwest network of Radio Nigeria, Ibadan Zonal station, comprising news, feature, sports and entertainment. In the lineup, President Tinubu reaffirms efforts at tackling insecurity. Stakeholders advocate basic rights for children. U.S. Supreme Court denies Alabama's request on nitrogen gas execution. France holds a state funeral for former First Lady. Heart of the matter today is on the significance of June 12 as Nigeria celebrates democracy. We also have entertainment gist for you. My name is Tobiloba Delano, and reading with me is
Olubukola Enimola. Good afternoon and happy democracy celebrations. You can also listen to us on live streams via www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng or watch us live on Facebook at Premier FM 93.5. Nigeria's democracy is precious. Let us stand, guard it jealously. And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to tackling insecurity across the country, declaring that terrorists, bandits and kidnappers must either surrender or face the full force of the Nigerian state. Speaking during his Democracy Day address, the president expressed concern over the recent abduction of children in Oyo and Borno states, describing security as a critical pillar of democratic governance and stressing that democracy can only thrive where citizens feel safe and protected. President Tinubu said his administration has declared a security emergency and approved the recruitment of more than 50,000 additional police officers alongside thousands of military recruits to strengthen the nation's security architecture. The president disclosed that the 2026 budget earmarked 5.41 trillion naira for defense and security, the largest allocation ever made to the sector, adding that government remained prepared to commit more resources to safeguard lives and property. Highlighting gains recorded in the anti-terror campaign, President Tinubu said Nigerian security forces had moved beyond conventional training partnerships with allies such as the United States and France to more effective precision operations. He cited the degradation of an ISWAP command center in Ahege, Borno State as evidence of the military's growing operational capacity. According to him, terror-related deaths have declined by 81% since 2015, while more than 13,000 terrorists were neutralized in the past year. He also revealed that over 124,000 fighters and their dependents had surrendered through Operation Safe Corridor since 2023, while urging Nigerians to not to politicize criminality or attach ethnic labels to crime. President Tinubu called for national unity in confronting security challenges. He expressed confidence that the country would overcome terrorism and banditry, assuring citizens that the enemies of Nigeria would soon become a thing of the past.
Still on democracy, the Southwest region's security landscape has undergone significant changes over the past 27 years, evolving from post-military political tensions to increasingly complex threats that continue to test the region's resilience. As Nigeria marks another Democracy Day, the region's experience offers an important measure for assessing the gains of democracy and capacity of institutions to respond to emerging challenges. Though still regarded as one of the country's relatively stable regions, recent incidents of kidnapping, violent crime, and communal unrest have compelled the Southwest to continually review its strategies for protecting lives, property, and economic activities. In this special report, Our crime correspondent, Abisola Oluremi, chronicles the security journey of southwest Nigeria and its quest for stability.
The return of democratic rule in 1999 brought with it long-suppressed ethnic and political tensions. While the early years of the Fourth Republic witnessed militancy, political rivalries, and notable assassinations, including the December 2001 killing of former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Bola Ige. By the mid-2000s, attention shifted from political violence to urban crime as the region grappled with armed robbery, bank raids, and the emergence of cybercrime networks, prompting states such as Lagos to strengthen security through public-private partnership and enhance law enforcement support. Around 2015, insecurity assumed a new dimension as violent farmer-elder clashes, highway kidnappings, and criminal activities in forest reserve threatened rural communities and culminated in tragic incidents such as the June 2022 attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State. In response to growing insecurity and the limitations of the centralized policing structure, Southwest Governor established the Western Nigeria Security Network, codenamed Amotekun Corps, in year 2020 to complement existing security agencies and improve local intelligence gathering. The regional security outfit has helped curb criminal activities in several communities by leveraging local knowledge and strengthening surveillances across highways, border settlements, and agriculture areas. The late governor of Ondo State and senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Chief Rotimi Akeredolu, who championed the initiative, maintained that Amotekun will provide a practical response to emerging threats in the region.
If we cannot continue in the manner in which we are doing and expect that we have effective policing of lives and properties.
As Nigeria marks Democracy Day, the Southwest faces fresh concerns driven by economic hardship, rising unemployment, and increasingly sophisticated criminal networks, with kidnapping becoming more prevalent along major roads and in rural communities. Urban centers are also contending with cult-related violence, while recent incidents involving the abduction of pupils, travelers, and residents have renewed calls for stronger interagency collaboration and improved intelligence gathering. Although the Southwest Governor proposed a joint security arrangement involving sophisticated drone technology to strengthen regional surveillance, the initiative is yet to be fully realized, as explained by the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fatai Owusheni.
It's not been delivered yet. The surveillance aircraft will have drones. It will capture number plates of vehicles and they will use it for surveillance in the whole of Oyo State.
Meanwhile, a security analyst at the University of Ibadan, Professor Olufemi Alade, says adequate funding must be matched with transparency, accountability, and effective deployment of resources to tackle evolving criminal networks.
No nation survived without an effective and formidable intelligence network.
Residents of Ibadan say the Southwest has demonstrated resilience in responding to changing threats over the past 27 years, but stress that lasting peace requires preventive and intelligence-driven strategies, especially in the wake of recent incidents across the region.
The government should work more on community policing.
Individually, we can't carry machetes, we can't carry guns by ourselves to go and confront people that are wanting to spoil our lives. So it is still government, because they are the people who gives license.
Because government, if you talk, no people need in Nigeria.
As the nation celebrates Democracy Day, many residents are advocating state policing and broader socio-economic reforms as practical measures for addressing the root causes of crime and strengthening security across the Southwest. In Ibadan, Abisola Oluremi, Radio Nigeria.
Similarly, President Bola Tinubu has defended the economic reforms introduced by his administrations, saying they were necessary to restore stability, rebuild investor confidence, and lay the foundation for long-term prosperity. In his Democracy Day address, President Tinubu said the reforms were undertaken at a time when public finances were under severe strain and economic uncertainty threatened the nation's future. He maintained that the measures had improved economic management since 2023, leading to increased federal revenues and providing states and local governments with more resources for infrastructure, healthcare, education, and security. The president also reported improvements in fiscal transparency, noting that leakages had been reduced while public funds were being directed more effectively towards national development priorities. According to him, investor confidence has returned, with investments growing across agriculture, energy, manufacturing, technology, mining, transportation, and the creative sector. He added that the non-oil exports grew by 21% in the past year, while more than 1,000 small and medium enterprises had been certified for exports. President Tinubu further stated that domestic refining capacity had increased, reducing a reliance on imported petroleum products, while reforms in the power sector, including the implementation of the Electricity Act and measures to address the metering deficit and legacy debts, were aimed at improving electricity supply. Despite the reported gains, the president acknowledged that many Nigerians were still facing economic hardship, stressing that his administration remained focused on reducing inflation, boosting food production, creating jobs, and improving living standards to ensure that the benefits of democracy are felt by ordinary citizens.
The state of Nigeria's economy remains a major concern for many citizens, as rising living costs and economic uncertainty continue to shape discussions across the country. From homes and marketplaces to offices and public gatherings, Nigerians are increasingly expressing concern about their economic well-being and the need for policies that can improve their standard of living. As the nation navigates a period of economic reforms and transition, correspondent Abiodun Adeoye chronicles the views of Nigerians on the state of the economy and examines the path towards a sustainable economic growth.
Since Nigeria's return to democratic rule in 1999, successive administrations have introduced various economic policies and programs aimed at improving living standards, creating jobs, and strengthening the nation's economic foundation. Nigeria's economy is presently undergoing a critical transition characterized by bold reforms, including the removal of first subsidies and efforts to reposition key sectors for long-term growth. Although these measures are said to be gradually stabilizing the economy and supporting projected gross domestic product (GDP) growth, the country continues to grapple with high inflation, rising unemployment, and widespread poverty. Speaking with Radio Nigeria, an economist, Mrs. Yemi Anifowosi, said successful administrations had made efforts to improve the economy, but noted that the desired transformation remained elusive due to overdependence on imported goods, infrastructural deficit, insecurity, and heavy reliance on crude oil exports, which make government revenue vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices. Mrs. Anifowosi observed that for Nigeria to build a resilient and prosperous economy, priority must be given to stable power supply, economic diversification, and equipping the country's youthful population with modern skills required in a rapidly evolving digital and green economy.
Even from within, what are we exporting? We are importing almost everything, or we depend solely on imported goods. And at the same time, we are not our infrastructure are nowhere to be found. We don't have good roads. Electricity is something else. You know, is with this kind of epileptic power supply in Nigeria, there's a little that we can do.
Another contributor, Mr. Yemi Olasukanmi, who described the Nigerian economy as a mixed economy, noted that the country had yet to take some of the critical steps needed to transform its economic fortunes. According to him, excessive borrowing, over-dependence on oil revenue, and the continued importation of goods that can be produced locally have slowed economic growth and limited the country's development potential. Mr. Olasukanmi, while noting that Nigeria is blessed with abundant human and technical resources, called on the government to convene an economic summit that will bring together experts, industry leaders, and stakeholders to provide practical solutions to the nation's economic challenges.
We have to look inward. There are no countries that has passed through economic transition that will be thinking that borrowing excessively is the solution. Let us have an economic summit. We are going to discuss our problem. Our problem is local. We have everything to survive. Good climate, abundant mineral resources.
Other contributors, Mr. Shegun Rufus and Mr. Robert Uweke, called on government to intensify efforts at tackling insecurity and implement policies that will encourage local manufacturing, boost productivity, and reduce dependence on imported goods. They maintain that creating a conducive environment for businesses to thrive will not only generate employment opportunities, but also strengthen the value of the naira and improve the nation's economic outlook.
When we go from consuming country to a manufacturing country, it's going to help our economy in so many ways. It's going to help our currency. And
make Nigeria conducive for investors in time of a security and a stable power supply. And also they should try as much as possible to reduce the cost of a production as well. And their production should match the higher percentage of what they consume. They should try as much as possible to be producing as well, making Nigeria conducive for people to produce things. They should balance their importation with the exportation. If they are not...
While opinion differs on the best approach to economic recovery, there is a growing consensus that sustainable growth will depend on policy consistency, prudent management of resources, and strategic investments in sectors capable of generating jobs and wealth. Stakeholders also believe that Nigeria's vast human and natural resources place the country in a strong position to compete globally, provided government creates the right environment for innovation, entrepreneurship, and industrial development. For many Nigerians, the true measure of economic success will not be reflected merely in growth figures and projections, but in improved living conditions, greater purchasing power, and expanded opportunities that positively impact everyday life. In Osogbo, Abiodun Adeoye, Radio Nigeria.
This is the World Today, the stories that made the headlines. President Tinubu has reaffirmed efforts at tackling insecurity. Still to come, stakeholders advocate basic rights for children. U.S. Supreme Court denies Alabama's request on nitrogen gas execution. France holds a state funeral for former First Lady. We'll be right back.
Thank you for staying tuned as we now move to the rest of the stories. Heart of the Matter today focuses on significance of June 12 as Nigeria celebrates Democracy Day. It is written by Shayo Olaniyan of our Current Affairs Unit.
The significance of celebrating Democracy Day on June 12 cannot be overemphasized. As Nigeria marks Democracy Day today, June 12 is more than a public holiday. It is the date Nigerians in 1993 demonstrated the full power of the ballot through option A4, a way of voting devoid of money distraction, inducement, and other malpractices that characterize the nation's electoral process. On that day, citizens across ethnic, religious, and regional divide voted in what many people widely regarded as the freest and fairest election in the nation's history. Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola of the Social Democratic Party SDP was in clear lead, having won across the country. For a brief moment, Nigeria set aside the fault lines of North and South, Muslim and Christian, and voted for unity, competence, and hope with a mantra tagged Hope 93. That mandate was, however, annulled by the then military regime of General Ibrahim Babangida without a concrete reason. Expectedly, the annulment triggered protests across the country, while pro-democracy activists who protested were jailed, exiled, and some were reportedly killed. The winner of the election, Chief MKU Abiola, died in detention on July 7, 1998, while his wife, Kudirat, was assassinated on the 4th of June, 1996. The media was gagged and the will of millions was raised by decrees. After several agitations by pro-democracy activists and stakeholders, the then late President Muhammadu Buhari in 2018 declared June 12 as Democracy Day, marking a critical correction of history and applauded by all. Though May 29, 1999 marks the handover from military to civilian rule, June 12, 1993 marks the day Nigerians themselves chose their president. One date celebrates government, while the other celebrates the people. This turnaround maintenance done to the nation's democratic history by former President Muhammadu Buhari has brought out a clearer picture of June 12 to Democracy Day. Democracy was not donated. It was fought for on the streets, in courtrooms, and in detention cells. June 12 tells every Nigerian that the ballot is so sacred that a regime once feared it enough to cancel it. It defines legitimacy. It reminds elected officials that power flows from the people, not from appointment or coercion. The ballot, not the barrel of a gun, is the only valid source of authority. Similarly, it sets a standard for today's democracy being enjoyed in the country 33 years on. The questions are unavoidable. Have we honored that sacrifice? With voter turnaround below 30% in 2023, with persistent vote buying, electoral violence, and widespread insecurity, the spirit of June 12 is under strain. Inflation and unemployment have led many to question democracy's dividends. June 12 is not about nostalgia. It is a benchmark. It insists that elections must be credible, that the people's choice must be respected, and that democracy must serve more than the political elite. It is about the people believing their vote can still shape the nation. Parades and official speeches have their place, but the true tribute to June 12 is paid at the polling unit, in the independence of INEC, and in our collective rejection of tribalism and money politics. It is paid when we demand accountability as fiercely as Nigerians demanded their mandate in 1993. June 12 is not just history. It is homework. The heroes of that era did their part. It is now left to this generation to ensure that never again will the will of the people be annulled.
That script on the significance of June 12 as Nigeria celebrates Democracy Day was written by Shayo Lani of our Current Affairs Unit and read by Emilia Ojemudia. As the world marks the World Day Against Child Labor, concerns have been raised over the increasing number of children engaged in various forms of labor and exploitations. Augustina Okinedo in the special report takes a look at the menace and how it can be eradicated from our society.
It is estimated that over 5 million children are trafficked and forced into child labor worldwide. Many of these children between the ages of 1 and 14 work in hazardous conditions as domestic house help, street hawkers, and in other exploitative activities. Experts say such practice not only violate the rights of children, but also expose them to dangers that can affect their health, education, and future. To tackle this problem, government enacted the Child Rights Act to protect children and promote their welfare. However, a human rights activist, Mr. Femi Emodamori, said poverty remains one of the major factors hindering the effective implementation of the law in Nigeria.
It is one of the greatest hindrances, and you have a lot of children that have to fend for themselves. Children sent out on errands to go and be selling, hawking on the streets. Most of the parents, of course, who do this are not too happy doing what they are doing or sending their children.
Speaking on the growing cases of street begging and hawking in Akure metropolis, Mr. Emodamori called on government and law enforcement agencies to take stronger action against child labor and other forms of child exploitation.
Much as we think the economy of the country needs to be improved to stop this, we must also condemn self-inflicted idleness by adults, leading to their own poverty, leading to begging on the street. I think we need to employ both the carrot and stick approach while you try to provide welfare for children, welfare for adults who probably find themselves in situations that they cannot cope, to prevent them from being pushed to the edge.
Also speaking, an elder statesman, Bashorun Sende Arogbofa, stressed the need for parents to uphold family values and properly cater for their children. He also called for policies that will improve the economy and reduce hardship faced by families.
Child labor is multivarious, and there are some of them on the streets who hawk while they should be in school. It's part of the societal decay. When their parents can't make two ends meet, they send them to the street to sell. There, some of them become hardened criminals. Once the home is secure, this will automatically translate into the safety and peace in the society.
Apparent Mr. Bayo Ojo described child labor as harmful to the development of children and urged parents to prioritize the education and welfare of their wards rather than exposing them to labor.
You go to cocoa plantations across the state, you see young people being used there to work as laborers, and it's wrong. Countries to call appropriate agency.
Some children who spoke with Radio Nigeria also condemned child labor and appealed to parents and guardians to allow them focus on their education and personal development.
Many parents should not be involved in child labor. My advice to the government is that they should build a public school that is low for parents to afford.
To always work hard, not make the money your parents pay to be in vain.
This year's World Day Against Child Labor has the theme Red Card to Child Labor, Fair Play for Children, Decent Work for Adults. In Akure, Augustina Okinedo, Radio Nigeria.
The Nigerian Association of Technologists in Engineering, NATE, Southwest Zone, under the Council of the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening public safety in Nigeria through effective engineering governance and regulatory compliance. This was made known during its 2026 annual general meeting and Confotech held at the Assembly Hall, North Campus, the Polytechnic Ibadan, Oyo State. In an address of welcome, the National Vice President, Southwest Zone of the Association, Mr. Oluremi Tokede, stated that technologists and engineers remain at the forefront of national development, stressing the need for professionals in the sector to uphold standards and ensure strict compliance with engineering regulations to safeguard lives and property through technology-driven solutions.
Engaged technologists will effectively curtail insecurity. We are not being engaged. We are not given recognition.
Speaking on the theme entitled Strengthening Public Safety in Nigeria Through Effective Engineering Governance, Regulatory Compliance and Institutional Accountability, Catalysts for Technological Innovation and Sustainable Infrastructure, the keynote speaker, Mr. Bidemi Bello, noted that Nigeria needs technologists now more than before. Mr. Bello urged members of the profession to work towards reclaiming their rightful position in national development, emphasizing that the country would greatly benefit from their expertise and contributions.
We must be able to identify our roles as technologists in building collapse. Governments are bounded by the law. So since we have codes and laws that guide us, it's easier for the government to be held accountable.
In his remarks, the national president of NATE, Mr. Dominic Udwatan, enjoined members and technologists across the country to remain steadfast in defending professional standards, stressing that public safety and national security should remain their top priorities. The conference was attended by past and present National Executive of NATE, Southwest Zone, Deputy Director, ICT, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, Lagos Operations, Mrs. Aino Ajanoku, Rector, the Polytechnic Ibadan, Mr. Abedin Lasisi, while Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Inclusion in Oyo State, Mrs. Toyin Balogun, and the Chairman on Nwara Local Government Area, Oyo State, Mr. Temitope Kolako, were represented at the occasion.
And from the foreign scene, the U.S. Supreme Court has denied an appeal by the state of Alabama to execute death row prisoner Jeffrey Lee using nitrogen gas. Two lower courts had earlier blocked the use of nitrogen gas in executions, finding the method likely violates the U.S. Constitution's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Alabama then appealed that ruling.
France will lay to rest widow of former President Marcus Chirac in a funeral in Paris, set to be attended by prominent figures from the worlds of politics and entertainment.
And then from the world of sports, Mexico's forward Julian Quinones scored the first goal of the 2026 FIFA World Cup as his side defeated South Africa 2-0 in the opening match of the tournament.
Let's join Lilian Ibomo on entertainment news.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Entertainment Gist for the Week. I'm Lilian Ibomo, aka IJB. Singer Davido delivered an electrifying performance at the FIFA World Cup Countdown concert in Los Angeles, using the international platform to draw global attention to our crisis back in Nigeria. Davido made a powerful statement by taking the stage in a custom jacket dedicated to the 39 students and 7 teachers abducted by terrorists in Ogbomoso, Oyo State on the 15th of last month. The outfit featured green badges bearing the names of individual victims alongside a bold inscription across the back that read, "Bring them home." Before taking the stage, Davido shared a message highlighting the tragedy and urging quicker government intervention.
Thank you very much, Lilian Ibomo. Well, that's it on The World Today. Do join us on Monday for a fresh edition of the program. Rashida Makinde edited. My name is Olubukola Enimola, wishing you happy Democracy Day. And from my colleague,
Tobiloba Delano, we now link up with our network studio in Abuja for the next program.